The Night of the Grizzlies. You might have heard that grizzly bears can be extremely aggressive due to their strength and scary nature, but what you didn't know is that it actually gets worse than that. On the night of August 12, 1967, in Glacier National Park, a horrifying bear incident would change the world as we know it. It all happened with Julie Helgeson and Michelle Coons, both young women who were camping miles apart with separate groups. That night, two grizzly bears, each exhibiting unusually aggressive behavior, attacked and killed them. But that's far from the crazy part. Helgeson was dragged from her sleeping bag and mauled near Granite Park Chalet, while Coons was attacked at Trout Lake. A really gruesome experience. The aftermath was equally devastating. You see, back then, most people used to think of grizzlies as massive camping puppies, but this event would leave rangers, wildlife experts, and the public completely shocked. Investigations revealed that food waste, poor bear management, and increasing human interaction had led to bears associating campsites with food. You might want to rethink your next camping trip. Sankabetsu brown bear incident. This remains one of the most terrifying bear attacks in recorded history, and it occurred in Sankabetsu, a small village in Hokkaido. A massive Usuri brown bear known as Kesagake terrorized the village for days. Initially, it killed a woman and a baby. When villagers tried to defend their homes, the bear returned with unmatched ferocity. It broke into another house, killed and partially ate more members of a family. It started to seem like the bear had turned the entire village into its personal grocery store. This left the entire settlement gripped with fear. I mean, seriously, who wouldn't be? Especially when you're on a bear's menu. But it didn't last long, as hunters were called in to track and kill it. The psychological toll on survivors was devastating, and the story became folklore, symbolizing nature's raw power when provoked or misunderstood. Timothy Treadwell and Amy Huguenard. You see, the previous two were more about nature just doing its thing and all that, but this one was based on overconfidence. The story of Timothy Treadwell and Amy Huguenard is a constant reminder of how terrifying bear attacks can be. It all happened in October 2003 at Katmai National Park, where the brutal attack took place. Before the incident, Timothy Treadwell, a well-known environmentalist, lived among grizzly bears in Alaska for 13 summers, as he believed he had built trust with the animals, often getting dangerously close and disregarding standard safety protocols. He even had names to call them, 'cause why not? They're all bros, right? However, all that fun would turn into chaos on the 13th summer when he went with his girlfriend, Amy. And for some reason, he decided to stay longer than usual. Many speculated it could have been to protect the bears from poachers or just a reckless move. But one day, he got attacked by a grizzly bear. As a bear expert, he tried to play dead, but that didn't seem to work because the bear started to aggressively devour him. Amy even tried to help, but all efforts failed as the bear dragged his remains to the distance. Amy also died shortly after this devastating encounter, as she was completely vulnerable to other attacks. Audio from the attack was captured but never released publicly. The remains found indicated a prolonged and brutal mauling. The story was immortalized in Werner Herzog's documentary Grizzly Man, which explores Treadwell's idealism and tragic end. Practice Miller. A 71-year-old Practice Miller lived alone in the Sierra Nevada mountains. She had reported frequent visits by a black bear, which she nicknamed the Big Bard. Despite her installing steel bars on her windows and repeatedly trying to chase the bear away, it became increasingly bold. One day, the bear managed to break through the window and attacked Miller inside her home, killing her. When found, she was partially consumed. This tragic event shook the small community and led to public outcry over insufficient bear control measures. The case serves as a grim reminder that even black bears, often considered less dangerous than grizzlies, can become deadly when they lose fear of humans. Liard River Hot Springs attack. What began as a relaxing day at one of Canada's natural wonders turned into a nightmare. At the popular Liard River Hot Springs, a large male black bear stalked the area and attacked a group of tourists. One woman was killed while trying to protect her children, and another man died trying to fend off the bear. Several others were injured. Eyewitnesses described the bear as predatory. It showed no signs of fear or retreat. Authorities concluded it was malnourished and possibly ill. This attack shocked wildlife experts, as black bears are rarely involved in fatal attacks. The event led to heightened security. Anastasia Bulgakova. Anastasia, a 44-year-old woman, was walking home late at night when she suddenly disappeared. And later, her severed head was found while they were searching for her, bearing clear signs of an animal attack. Wildlife experts believe she was ambushed by a brown bear. Surveillance footage later captured her walking in the area moments before the attack. The incident has gained widespread media attention due to its brutal nature and the growing trend of bear sightings in residential Russian areas. Deforestation and reduced food sources are believed to have driven the bears closer to human settlements. The attack raised alarm about the need for better urban wildlife management in rapidly developing regions. Romanian bear crisis and teen hiker death. In 2023, something really sad and scary happened to a 19-year-old girl who went hiking in the Butsegi Mountains, a very popular place with amazing views and fresh mountain air. While she was walking the trail, out of nowhere, a very big deadly grizzly bear attacked her. However, the rescue teams tried to help, but the mountain path was super hard to reach. Steep cliffs, rough ground, that it took too long to reach her, and by the time they would get to her place, it was too late. Whereas, this wasn't just a random accident. As in the last 20 years, more than 20 people in Romania have died in bear attacks. That people started asking serious questions like, should we keep protecting the bears? Or should we protect ourselves first? And this actually became a big fight between animal lovers and people worried about their lives. However, after the girl's death, the government made a huge decision that they would kill hundreds of bears to reduce the danger. And back then, this decision actually got some of the people really upset, while others said it had to be done. And ever since, Romania had been stuck in a huge argument between saving wild animals and keeping humans alive actually. Denali photographer attack. Well, a few years ago, a 49-year-old man with a camera, a dream, and a deep love for nature walked into Denali National Park in 2012, strolling alone in Alaska's wild beauty environment. I mean, the snowy peaks, endless trees, and yeah, the silence, except for the sounds of the forest and maybe, just maybe, something big breathing nearby, which happens to be a grizzly bear. Whereas I believe for many, that would be the moment to slowly back away and whisper, "Not today, nature." But this man didn't, and would rather raise his camera, aiming for that once-in-a-lifetime shot, the kind you frame, the kind you brag about, which made him got closer and closer and closer like a 40-yard stand between him and the bear. And that was just completely against the park's rule of at least 300 yards away, more than 6 times the distance he was at. But in that moment, maybe he thought he could capture something amazing. Maybe he believed the bear wouldn't mind, but sadly, the bear did, and attacked him, which eventually became the man's last hiking adventure. However, the moment rangers found his camera, they discovered the final photos he took just seconds before it all went wrong. Haunting, beautiful, and chilling, all at the same time. And that was actually Denali National Park's first ever deadly bear attack. So after that, things changed. Park staff tightened safety rules, gave more warnings, and made it very clear, a great photo is never worth your life. What was meant to be a peaceful moment with nature became a powerful lesson for hikers, photographers, and anyone who thinks wild animals are just part of the scenery. Chignik Lake Incident. In 2013, near a quiet place in Alaska called Chignik Lake, something very sad happened. A 54-year-old man was working alone in the forest. He didn't have any bear spray, no weapon, just him and the wild. People in that area are used to living close to nature. They know bears are around. In fact, others had already seen signs of bear activity nearby. But that day, things took a tragic turn, as the man was attacked by a brown bear. And when searchers would find him later, they discovered he had been badly injured and partially eaten, which showed just how dangerous it can be to be alone in bear country. The man obviously had no way to protect himself, and no one else was there to help. Even in places where people are used to sharing the land with wild animals, bears can still surprise you. They don't always act the same, and sometimes they attack without warning. However, after this incident, people were reminded, if you're in bear country, always be prepared. Always carry protection, and never underestimate the wild. Vanessa Chaput. Imagine one day going out for an exercise, like say a run or just a walk to flex out your muscles, but instead you ended up fighting a bear. Yeah, that's the real definition of going from level 1 to 100 instantly, right? And this unfortunate disaster happened in Canada 2024 when Vanessa, a runner and dog lover, went for a jog with her dog in the Alberta wilderness. But then she encountered 4 grizzly bears, 2 of which were relatively small while the other 2 were huge. I tend to think that this was a family bear, as it perfectly fits the children and the parents. But regardless, they were ready to attack their prey, if you look at things from their perspective, that is. But luckily, the woman's pet dog scared the 2 little bears away, while the others were faced against Miss Vanessa. One of the bears charged and bit her multiple times, and during the attack, her hair clip snapped in the bear's mouth, which definitely shocked it and made it even more furious. But the dog bravely defended her owner, distracting the bear long enough for Vanessa to escape and call for help. Damn, this dog surely deserves a medal. I mean, a dog holding against a bear? That's gonna even make nature itself laugh. And shockingly, the dog even survived. Yep, you heard that right. Not against 1, but 4 angry bears. I can't say anything about this. I'm speechless. Lucky Vanessa underwent multiple surgeries and made her recovery. Shortly after, she even became an advocate for bear safety and animal training. Bella Kula Valley Grizzly Encounter. So, in October 2017, in a quiet valley along the central coast of British Columbia, a woman out walking her dogs was surprised by a grizzly bear near a rural road. And yeah, you know it's not uncommon to find bears in those areas. The bear was likely drawn to nearby improperly stored garbage, meaning it really wanted to eat. So immediately it saw her. The bear charged at her in a flash. She tried to escape but was overtaken and mauled. Think of it like you running from your mom after she noticed you bought food despite her cooking at home. Yeah, almost impossible, right? Although she survived, the attack left her permanently disfigured. That's pretty sad. This incident highlighted a troubling trend in remote communities. Habituated bears whose fear of humans has diminished due to the availability of human food sources. And because of this, new regulations on waste management and bear deterrent practices were made in these regions. Sakhalin Island fishermen attack. Imagine storing your food due to the fact that that's all you've got, and you have to manage that. If not, you'd go hungry. However, that food you stored was actually your predator's food as well. And because it's its primary meal, it can smell it even from a distance. And then it used that smell to get to you as well, since technically you stored it in your house. And the rest of the story? Yeah, disaster. That's what happened to the two fishermen camping on Sakhalin Island in Russia. They were attacked while sleeping in their tent. However, it was believed that a hungry and aggressive male bear tore through the tent and killed both men. The bodies were partially eaten by the time they were discovered. Investigations showed that fish and meat had been improperly stored at the campsite, which likely attracted the bear. The bear was later found and euthanized. The case remains one of the most gruesome bear attacks in the region and prompted the Russian government to issue more stringent guidelines for remote wilderness workers.